Have you been told that you have unexplained infertility after months or years of trying to conceive? Maybe you've done all the basic tests and everything comes back normal, but you still can't get pregnant. If that sounds familiar, then you absolutely need to hear Natalya's story. Today, I'm sharing a powerful success story from one of my Hope Fertility Coaching Program members. You're going to hear directly from her about how she went from nearly 2 years of unexplained fertility challenges and painful periods to naturally conceiving her healthy baby girl, who is now 2.5 months old. This isn't just another success story. This is proof that unexplained infertility is really just undiagnosed infertility. And when you dig deeper, with the right testing and approach, you can find real answers. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Marc Sklar, also known as the fertility expert. For over 22 years, I've helped women overcome fertility challenges through functional medicine approaches that uncover and address root causes, not just manage the supposed symptoms. What you're about to hear could be the turning point in your fertility journey. Natalya is going to share exactly what made the difference: the hidden infection that was discovered, the comprehensive testing that revealed hormonal imbalances, and the step-by-step program that led her to her natural conception. But before we dive into her incredible story, and it is incredible, I want to share something with you. If you've been trying to get pregnant without success and you feel like you're not getting the answers that you need, I want to personally invite you to book a complimentary fertility consultation with my team. On this call, we'll take a deeper dive into your unique fertility journey, uncover potential roadblocks that have been missed on your journey by others, and map out a clear, personalized roadmap to help you optimize your fertility naturally. The link is in the description below. Now let's hear Natalya's transformative story. All right, so we're gonna hear directly from Natalya right now. Again, it's an amazing story. I want you all to pay close attention to the things that she says. Now, when we interviewed her for this, she gave us a 20+ minute testimonial, which is awesome. We love that. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to speed up her testimonial video just a little bit so that we can hear everything she wants to say, but at the same time, shorten our time frame for this video and for all of you. All right, let's listen.
We started trying to conceive. When I started trying to conceive, I just turned 29 years old. My husband is a couple years older. We were young and healthy. We didn't think we were going to have any issues. We were married for, I think, 5 years at the time. So we just always thought that as soon as we want to have a child, we're just going to get pregnant right away. We're not going to have any problems. I've never had any issues that were discovered during my OB/GYN appointments or anything like that. And so when we started, we were very excited in the beginning, and then it didn't happen. And, I was prepared. I read a lot about it. I listened to all of the podcasts I could find. I was taking prenatal. So I was like, okay, it can take us 6 to 12 months to get pregnant. So I wasn't worried at the time, but I think 3 months in, I did one of the at-home tests from, I believe, Modern Fertility. It's just the company that sends you at-home kit. You can collect your blood from your fingers, send them the sample, and then they give you the results, which are very, very basic results for your hormones. And I knew it was still very early, but I just wanted to make sure that everything is okay. And results came back in. I had everything perfect. So they test your AMH, TSH, LH, estradiol, just a very, very basic panel of hormones. So I was like, okay, it's great. I don't have any problems. We can just continue trying. It's just going to happen eventually. Then, it wasn't happening. I think about half a year in, my husband did his semen analysis. Also, just in case we weren't too worried, we were upset, but not too worried at the time. And it also came back perfectly fine. Then at some point, I was just, starting to get nervous when we were getting closer to a year. And this was the time when I had my scheduled OB/GYN appointment. So I asked my doctor, what else can we do? It's been a year, nothing happened. I've never had any I've never had any pregnancies. So, I did this test. I showed him our test results and he said, yeah, your husband's results are fine. Your tests are fine, but it's been almost a year. Let's retest. So I retested my hormones with him again. And again, a year later, everything came back totally fine. He also, the only other thing he gave me a referral for was the HSG test, which is the test that checks if your tubes are not blocked. So, and I wanted to get as much from him as I could before I go somewhere else. And pretty much that HCG test was the last thing he offered me to do. And for some reasons, I just could not schedule it. It took me like another 8 months to schedule it. It just, the clinic was busy, then kept getting just postponed and things like that. So by the time I got that test done, and before I got the test done, the only diagnosis that my OB/GYN gave me based on the completely perfect test results was unexplained infertility. So starting from there, I started to research everything I could about unexplained infertility and what it is. And I watched probably hours of YouTube videos in 3 languages, just trying to understand what it means, what can I get from there, what can I do and things like that.
Before we continue to hear from Natalya, I want to comment on a couple things. She was super proactive. She did everything right and before the timeframes that most women would have done. Maybe you are in a similar situation. Maybe you're ahead in terms of your testing, because often they say after 6 to 12 months to start to do some of these things. So maybe you've done it ahead just like her. She did her testing. She did her husband's semen analysis. Most couples that we speak to, that happens much, much later. She did her HSG, also typically happens much later. All of these things happened, or she tried to make them happen within the first year. Her HSG happened after the first year, closer actually to the second year. And the only thing that she was told was that it was unexplained, because they didn't really have answers for her, right? So this is no fault on her. Maybe no fault on all of you. You've done the same things and been proactive, yet still don't have results and still don't have answers. That sounds familiar. We want to keep listening to what she has to share.
And this is when I found Marc and his program, because I've listened to every doctor online could find, and everybody were pretty much saying the same thing. Unexplained infertility just means that we don't know what's the problem, and you can continue doing these things. You can try to improve your diet. You can try to quit caffeine. You can try to quit dairy and all of those things. And months to months, I kept just going back and forth. It's like, this month, I'm going to try dropping caffeine. Okay, I didn't get pregnant. I'm going to keep drinking my coffee. But this month, I'm going to stop eating processed food and, or, eliminate all the sugars. And at some point, it was almost like a game. Every month, I had to try something different and see if it works, and it wasn't. And at some point, it just started driving me crazy.
I want to stop her right there, because this is important. I hear this all the time. Well, so this month I stopped caffeine, but then it didn't work. So then I added coffee back in. Or this month I took out this and then it didn't work, so then I added it back in. These changes, they often compound one on top of the other. So just because you took something out this month and it didn't work for 1 month doesn't mean it's not successful or the right thing to do. I just want to be clear about that. It also might mean that that's just one step in the greater process of what you need to do. They compound one on top of the other to get more cumulative results and effects, to see long-term benefit, to actually get the results. So I'm not saying that's what she needed here. I just want to comment, because I often hear this, and then I often see the mistake that, oh, I took it out for 1 month, but then I put it back in the next month, right? Because I wasn't pregnant. Well, that doesn't mean it didn't work. It also doesn't mean that that wasn't just one piece of the puzzle of more that needed to come.
So a big mistake was I joined all of the fertility communities on Facebook, and it's all of the women just doing testing. You're testing for your ovulation, and you're testing for your HCG to see if you're pregnant. And it was very toxic and not good for my mental health, because just this constant testing and testing and testing, and nothing was happening, and trying a new thing. And so after I did that test that shows if my tubes are blocked, and they were totally fine, there were no problem, my OBGYN said, I've done everything I could for you, so I can just refer you to a fertility clinic. And from the beginning, my husband and I knew that IVF was not for us. We were never going to try it for various reasons. So after he referred me to fertility clinic, that was the end for me. And at the time, again, when I was going through YouTube, listening to the doctors, I found Marc, and his video about unexplained infertility was very different, because he was the only one who said that he doesn't believe in unexplained infertility, that it's a lazy diagnosis, and it just means that the underlying cause was not found, and you have to keep digging deeper.
All
that
true.
Nobody was willing to do that for me. So by the time that my OBGYN just pretty much said, I'm done, I was listening to Marc for about 6 months, all of his free resources on YouTube, everything I could find, all of the video one after one, after another, even if they weren't related to me, get pregnant after 35, I was just 29, and it's like, I'm just going to listen to it anyways. So I would listen to him for a long, long time, and I loved everything he had to say, and I believed in him. I was still very scared to join the program, but at that time, we've been trying for a year and 8 months, is when I had my discovery call with Danielle, and not a single pregnancy. And so I had a call. I just wanted to see what it was about. I had a really nice call with Danielle. On our call, we told her that IVF was not an option for us, and nobody never ask me about it ever again. That's another thing that I liked. I guess it was somewhere in my file, because Marc never suggested it. It's like, oh, you're trying. Maybe you should move on to the next step. And so we had a discovery call. I was still hesitant if I should join or not. And then I had, I don't know, I was hanging from God or something, because only 6 days after I had my call with Danielle and she gave us the price for the program, I just got a random bonus from my job that after taxes was in the exact amount I needed for the program. I was like, okay, I didn't expect this money. They just came to me out of nowhere.
Things happen for a reason.
Write the program, because I'm not losing anything. So we joined in December 2023, right before Christmas. And before the end of the year, the only thing I did was I went for the program. I got access to the Facebook group, and I was just spending hours every day just looking through the group. I would think about a word, I don't know, same unexplained infertility, and I'll just do a search by the group and read other people's stories and what they were told to do and all those things. So I did that. Another part of the program was you had to write a letter to yourself, how I see my life in a year or something like this. I can't remember. I never reread it after I wrote it, because I was just, feeling a little weird about it. But this is what I did on the New Year's night of December 2023. Just looking at this is where I want to see myself next year. These are my hopes, these are my dreams. And I decided I'm going to start from January 1st, a new year, just starting from step one. The step one of the program is just a 2-week detox. So I got all the food, I prepared mentally, and was pretty much ready to start. The other part of it was that we were living a pretty healthy lifestyle, in my opinion. So I'm cooking most of the food at home. I'm avoiding, seed oils and processed foods as much as I can and things like that. So in my head, I was already doing everything. So I was like, okay, this detox program is very similar to what I was already doing, but I'm going to try it. But the program was built in a way where you have steps. So you start with the detox, then you move on to elimination diet, then you move on to candida detox, and all of those things. And pretty much as soon as you're done with one step, you have another step to follow. And, after a year and 8 months, I finally had structure. So it's not me just trying random things here and there. I was told exactly what to do. And I was finally able to just, leave this burden on somebody else to decide what is the next step for me to try and just follow the directions that were clear. And if I had any questions, I could always ask them.
So that is huge. Okay. So many of you are in this hamster wheel of trying different things, researching. She spent hours every day prior to joining the program. She didn't have a process. She didn't have a guide. She didn't have a mentor, a teacher to move her through the process. We all need those things. Now she had structure. That took the stress off of her. And she said, I'm committing to this program and I'm going to follow along for what it tells me to do. That's huge. Right? That's hugely valuable and important. We do have a method to our madness. We do have a process we ask everyone to move through. She was able to go through that and start that. She mentioned the steps. That's very important for us as well. So it's about moving through the steps so that we can gather all the information. We do those things while we're still gathering all the information we need so that we can create her customized plan, which was what happened afterwards. I have so many more things that I want to say because so much of what she said is so important, so valuable for all of you. I'm going to take notes. I've got some notes and I'm going to recap those at the end for all of you for the things that I haven't mentioned yet.
I think the thing that shocked me the most about the program is usually when you're joining the programs with the I would say like media people who are online, who are promoting themselves, you never get to talk to them. You get these coordinators that reply to you, whom you can ask questions, but you never get to talk to the person who sold you their services. And it was very different with Marc because anytime I had a question, I would just post them to the group and he was replying pretty much immediately. Sometimes it could take a couple of hours if he was busy, but all other times I was getting a response from him so fast. And it almost felt like he knows what I'm going through because some of the times when I was having a really hard time and I'll make this one post in the group, he'll just reply and calm me down and tell me, that it's going to be okay pretty much.
So I'm stopping here because this is so important to me. And this is one of the main reasons why I created the Hope program for this right here. You all need support. When you join the Hope program, you are actually working with me, communicating with me, talking with me. Just yesterday, I had my weekly call, 3 hours long, over 3 hours actually, and I was interacting with all of the members who were there to support them on their journey. Every day, I spend time, like she mentioned, in our private group, answering questions, supporting couples through their journey because you all need it and you don't get enough of it. So this is absolutely me supporting all of you 100% through the process. She just said it, and I want you all to know this is so important to me. I know the craziness, the stress, the difficulty, the challenges that you all go through. I want to make that easier for all of you. I want to ease that burden, and that is part of why I created the program and what you all get. So I just had to share that.
Then the weekly calls with him,
Now
I did not expect to get that much support. I think the first time I talked to him personally, he probably spent 40 minutes on the call with just me, and he didn't rush. He kept asking questions, he kept following up, and he was just getting as much as information as I was willing to give. He was always very kind, very supportive, and I never felt like I'm not getting enough attention, which again, with how many women are in the program, was very, very surprising and just an amazing experience pretty much.
Yeah, I make it a point to know everybody in the program. I make it a point to know everybody's history, everybody's case. I've actually got a good memory for that. Might not remember what my wife asked me to do, but I can remember everything about the members in my program and what they're going through and what you're going through. And so this is important, right? Like you are getting customized, individualized support and care from me and my team throughout your entire process.
But so while we were going through steps of the program with the diets and detoxes, we were also doing a bunch of tests, as everybody do.
Right.
And
I mentioned
there were much more tests than what my OBGYN did. And some of them, the other doctors would say like, oh, why would you ever do that? It's completely useless. But Marc he was putting all of this information together. And even though all of my tests or almost all of my tests came back within the normal range, after he put them together, he told me, okay, you have hormonal imbalance here, because if you put this test results with this test results, it tells us that you have an issue here. And I've never had the big diagnosis. I don't have PCOS. I don't have endometriosis or anything like that. So it was just the small things that he was able to pull out from everything I was doing.
These small things, everyone doesn't have to have these major diagnoses, which is why so many people get diagnosed. So many of you get diagnosed with unexplained. These small things compound one on top of another. If you just had maybe stress, maybe you wouldn't have these issues. If you just had some hormonal irregularity, that wasn't a big deal, but it was throwing things off a little bit, maybe that wouldn't be enough to make it challenging. But you start to compound all these things on top of each other, that's what makes it more difficult. We have to take out each one of these. We need to address each one of these so that really your body can go back to balance, be healthy, and conceive.
After we've done all the tests, we had a call with Lenika just to go over all the results. What are the next steps that we have to do before we get our personalized plan? And she gave us, based on the results that we had so far, she gave us the additional testing that we could do. And so some of those tests could only be done in fertility clinic. So I did end up in fertility clinic. I went there. And again, from the very beginning, I told them I'm not going to do IVF. And I don't see the point for me to do IUI without knowing the reason why I cannot get pregnant. Because if my problem is implantation, if you're doing an IUI for me, I'm still not going to get pregnant. I'm just going to spend all this time, get injected with all these hormones and all those things. And the result is going to be the same. And they did not listen to me. We had our initial call with the doctor was online for an hour, and I came out of it. I was just crying because they told me that, at the time we hit, I believe, 2 years of trying. And they said, after 2 years, your chances to conceive are less than 5%. I was already 30 years old. She's like, after 30, your fertility declines.
They don't listen to what she's saying, which is not uncommon. She's frustrated. And then they say, after 30, your fertility declines, like as if she doesn't have a chance. 30? Come on.
So she was really pushing into IVF, even though we told her from the beginning that it's not happening. But we were able to convince her to do some of the testing. I asked for 6 tests. They refused. They only did 2 for us, 1 for me, 1 for my husband. Those came back normal too. One of the tests that fertility clinic refused to do, the alternative to that was to do this fertility test, which is where you send the sample to the company in Greece. And, it was very expensive. I was doubting if I want to do that. But that test gave me one of the biggest pieces of the missing pieces of the puzzle because it came back showing that I had a hidden infection. And another fun fact was that before that, when on one of the calls with Marc, I told him that I had painful periods. And I was like, everybody has painful periods, right? And he's like, no. Like, what? And he said, yeah, our goal is for you not to have painful periods. So like, okay, well, good luck with that. That's been my whole life. So after we found that hidden infection, which was ureaplasma, I took 1 week of antibiotics that were suggested by the company, and I stopped having painful periods. I couldn't believe it. I didn't have PMS anymore. It was completely gone. And I was totally fine for the first time in my life. I didn't have to take any painkillers on my first day of my period. I was like, oh my gosh, I never knew that. And if the clinic agreed to do this test for me, we would have found this huge piece of my story and what's going on with me.
So sometimes we still need to, in her case, she didn't want to, do IVF, didn't want to work with an IVF clinic, but sometimes we need to for some of the testing. It's important. It doesn't mean you're going to get everything you want. She advocated for herself. She was very strong about it and determined. And even then she only got a few things. We always have a way of getting the other things that we need. Just sometimes it's not as straightforward or easy, which is why we tried to guide her in that different direction. She was able to get that testing through the company we recommended, through looking at the interpretation. We discussed with her what we thought the next course of action should be. She did it, and her painful periods disappeared.
So that was it. And pretty much after we've done all the additional testing, after we've done all the steps of the diets and detoxes, Marc wrote us our plan. And I think he says that you have to be on a plan for 3 months to see the results. And in my head, it was
minimum 3 months.
3 months. I'm willing to still, hold to myself pretty much not to pay. I'm going to give it 3 months and see where it's going to go. And pretty much on month 3, it was interesting because I was suddenly getting the pain again, like a very intense pain. I was like, oh, great, my PMS is back. I messed something up, all of my hard work of months, and I probably, ate something I shouldn't have, and now my pain is back. But it wasn't. That was actually the implantation pain. So on my month 3, I actually got pregnant. And we were in a program for a total of 7 months. I guess my conclusion on this all is that the program is not a magic pill. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of dedication, and it's just months of eating on supplements. And I was writing this huge long plans on when I'm taking what and what I can eat. And it's a lot of planning, and it's just a hard work. But at the end, if you follow it step by step, you do get the results that you want.
It's not easy. Nothing in life is easy. The greatest rewards, the greatest victories are not easy. They require determination, a plan, a process, guidance, a teacher, a mentor. She had it all. She followed through. She got her results. That's what happens. That's what can happen.
I think, no, I did get the results. I was trying to remember if he got the results, but no, I got my results. But he was the one who had to interpret it for me. And I even sent it to my OBGYN because I had to order antibiotics. And my OBGYN said that, he doesn't know the dose, he doesn't know how much antibiotics. So I had to go to Marc, and he told me what to order. And then I asked my OBGYN, and then he put the order for me. So that's how it worked. It's funny because I was talking to my mother about it because she has friends who are in the same boat. And I think the lie that we're being sold is that IVF is a quick fix, that, you just go in and you make this embryos and you're getting implanted and then you get pregnant. But the success rate of IVF is just 40%. And we're not being told that when we're starting all of it. And you think it's quick, but it's not, because you have to go also through all the steps and you have to be injected with all these hormones it's really tough on a woman. Everybody who I see who are going through it, they're just going for hell pretty much. And they spend as much time or even more and their success rates are much lower. And it's a pregnancy that is not as healthy, as stable as when you're just getting pregnant naturally. So I think, again, it was scary, but the success rate for Marc's program was actually much higher. When we asked Danielle on our discovery call, she said at the time it was 60%. Yes, it's not 100, but everybody have different circumstances, but I think it's worth it so much. And there are so many women who are doing the IVF at the same time as they're doing the program to increase their chances. I think finding the problem, which is what Marc is doing, is the biggest step, because if you're just trying to cut corners and think you just want to do things faster, what's happening is you end up with miscarriages, broken frames, a lot of, hormone problems and everything like that. For me, it was totally worth it to just pretty much put my hope into Marc and into the program and just let it happen. Yes, I have a baby. She's 2.5 months old now. She's a perfect little baby. She was born very big and she keeps gaining weight. So what I rated for my health has a long-term effect as well, because you're not just getting pregnant, you're also getting healthier overall for your day-to-day life.
She said everything I wanted to say. I mean, there's nothing for me to add here other than ditto, right? This is a testament to what you all can achieve with the proper guidance. After hearing Natalya's incredible story, I want to share some key insights about what made her success actually possible. So what does this teach us about fertility? First, her story perfectly illustrates why I always say unexplained infertility isn't really unexplained. It's just undiagnosed. Even when all standard tests come back normal, there are still deeper layers to investigate. Natalya had hormonal imbalances that not only became apparent when we looked at multiple test results together, plus a hidden infection that standard fertility testing completely missed because they just don't find it important. Number two, notice how she mentioned having painful periods her entire life and thinking that that was actually normal. This is something that I see constantly. Women accepting symptoms as normal when they're actually clues to underlying fertility issues. Your body's talking to you. We need to listen. When we treated her hidden uroplasma infection, not only did it improve her fertility, but she stopped having painful periods for the first time in her entire life. Number three, her transformation required both physical and structural changes. After nearly 2 years of trying random solutions each month, she finally had a step-by-step system to follow. Sometimes the most powerful thing that we can provide is clarity and structure when you've been overwhelmed by conflicting advice time after time. What you can actually learn from her journey is, first and foremost, don't accept normal test results as the final answer. Standard fertility panels often miss crucial information. Comprehensive functional medicine testing can reveal patterns that standard tests just miss. Symptoms that you think are normal may actually be clues. Painful periods, PMS, other symptoms women often accept as normal can actually indicate underlying fertility issues. And one-size-fits-all approaches don't typically work. Natalya tried eliminating different things each month based on general advice. Her breakthrough came with a personalized plan, testing, and a customized protocol for her. Sometimes you need to advocate for a comprehensive testing. I talked about it when you listened to her. The fertility clinic refused several tests that ultimately provided crucial information in her case. Don't be afraid to seek the testing that you need elsewhere. You can go elsewhere to get those results. Structure and support typically make a difference. Having a clear step-by-step plan and immediate access to expert guidance eliminated the chaos and overwhelm that she was experiencing on her journey for several years. And root cause resolutions lead to overall health and improvements. This wasn't just about getting pregnant. Natalya's overall health improved dramatically, and these benefits continue to support her and her baby's well-being. Natalya's story demonstrates exactly why I created the Hope Fertility Coaching Program. Traditional fertility approaches often stop at unexplained infertility when basic tests come back normal. But when we dig deeper with more comprehensive functional medicine testing, look at the patterns that standard tests just miss because we're putting them together and provide ongoing personalized support, we can uncover and address the real root causes that are at play. Her story also highlights why I never recommend jumping straight into IVF without understanding why conception isn't happening naturally. As she mentioned, IVF has a 40% success rate, while our program has 60% success rate. And that's while supporting your overall health and setting you up for a healthier pregnancy and postpartum period. I know that hearing success stories like Natalya's can bring up mixed emotions if you're still in the middle of your struggle. You might be thinking, that's wonderful for her, but will it work for me? Or you might be feeling frustrated that you've been told everything is normal when clearly something isn't right. Here's what I want you to know. Natalya's situation may seem unique, but the principles that led to her success work for so many different fertility challenges. The comprehensive testing that revealed her hidden infections and hormonal imbalances, the structured approach that replaced chaotic monthly experiments, and the personalized support that guided her every step of the way. These same principles can uncover what's been missing in your fertility journey. Your story matters just as much as Natalya's. Your dream of becoming a mom matters, and you deserve answers, not just unexplained as a non-diagnosis. If Natalya's story resonated with you, here's your next step. Book a complimentary fertility assessment with my team. This isn't a sales call. It's a genuine opportunity to understand what might be holding you back and explore whether we can help you create your own success story. On this call, we're going to analyze your unique fertility challenges and testing history, identify potential root causes that standard testing may have missed, discuss comprehensive testing options that could provide missing answers for you, and map out a clear, personalized roadmap for moving forward. Additionally, we're going to determine if the Hope Fertility Coaching Program is the right fit for your situation. You don't have to figure this out alone, and you don't have to accept Unexplained as the final answer. Just like Natalya, you deserve comprehensive testing, personalized protocols, and a team that believes in uncovering and addressing the root causes of your fertility struggles. The link to book your complimentary assessment is in the description below. Before you go, I also want to share my free masterclass with you. This is the proven 5-step system to transform your fertility and reignite your hope to get pregnant. This masterclass will give you the foundation that you need to start optimizing your fertility naturally. It includes some of the same principles that help Natalya succeed. The link is also in the description below. To keep learning about fertility and hearing more inspiring stories like Natalya's, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so that you can get notified when we put out a new video every week. These are real strategies and real stories from real women who have overcome their fertility challenges. And remember, unexplained infertility is real, undiagnosed infertility. You're not broken. You're not alone. Your story isn't over yet. Just like Natalya, who went from nearly 2 years of failed attempts and painful periods to naturally conceiving her healthy baby girl. Your breakthrough could be closer than you think. Sometimes all it takes is the right testing, the right approach, and the courage to look deeper than normal test results. Take that step today. Book your complimentary assessment and let's start uncovering the real answers that you deserve. Thank you for watching, and until the next video, stay fertile.